So we've already learned how to read and write to files, and if you haven't done that, you should probably go watch those videos first before attempting to complete this project. But today we're going to be creating a database. So a database is basically just a collection of data that can be accessed and stored. What we're going to do today is keep a list of different Minecraft mobs and their attributes. So their name and their color, for instance. Then we're going to allow the user to view the list of mobs and create their own mobs if they want to. And when they go to create their own mobs, it'll be added to our list and it'll be accessible the next time they want to view them. Now, we're going to use files for this because we want our list of mobs to exist past when the program stops executing. So even if we kill the program, we will still be able to retain our list of mobs and whatever the user has created themselves. Alright, so let's get into it. Okay, so I have this file called mobs.txt, and we're not going to use any fancy kind of JSON or CSV. We're just going to have a text file with the name of the mob, their color, and what sound they make. So here you can see we have three different mobs. We have a creeper, we have a zombie, and we have a ghast. Okay. So, a creeper is green, a zombie is green, a ghast is white, and a creeper makes a hissing sound, a zombie makes a rumbling sound, and a ghast makes a screeching sound. Great. So, now, this is our basic database. It just contains a bunch of data, and we know exactly what format this data is in. It's just the name, the color, and the sound. So now, what we can do is read from this database and display it to the user, or we can allow the user to add their own things, their own new mobs to the database. To allow some creativity. Okay, so first off, we need to identify how to actually read from the database and parse it. So you can see that here in this mobs.txt file, all these are separated by spaces. So what we can do is actually read from this text file line by line, so line 1, line 2, and line 3, and however many lines we have, and then split each line by the space here. And every time we split by the space, we should get this token. So we'll just get a list of all the things on the line separated by the space. So the first thing in the list will be creeper, or the name of the mob. The second thing will be green, or the color they are. And the third one will be hissing, or the sound they make. And we'll do this for every single line, for every single mob. Okay, so we have this new function here called getMob, and it takes a name of the mob we want to grab. So what this function does is it'll go into our database, which is this mobs.txt file right here. It'll iterate over every single line, and it'll check this first token, which is the name of our mob. And if this name matches the name we want to get, then it'll return a list of these three tokens, which is the name of the mob, the color, and the sound they make. And once we return that, then we can do whatever we want with it down here in main or wherever else we call this getMob function. Now, if we don't find it, then we'll just return -1 for error, and we can handle that ourselves. So let's go into how this actually works now. We can see that this mobs.txt is a file, and so we can use our open function on it. Now, what we go to do is read all the lines in this file. So it'll read line 1, 2, and 3, and it'll output them into an array. Now we can just iterate over this array, so len lines will be how many lines there are, and so how many entries there are in this array. And then we can grab each item in the array using this. So we grab the current entry in our database. So let's say we're on line 1, we'll just grab this entire string. Then what we go to do is we know the first item in our entry is going to be the name of the mob. So what we can do is just split everything by a space and then check the first item in the list. Because the first item in the list is always going to be the name, we can just compare the name we want to get with the first item in the list. And if it's true, if this is the mob we want to get, then we can just close the file handle and free up the memory, and then we can return this list we just created. So now we're just going to return all the attributes we have, so all the information we have on this mob, to whatever function just called it. If we don't find the mob's name in this database, if we've iterated through every single file, then we just close the handle and return -1 for error. And so we can just check this -1, as I said earlier. Now, how we actually do this is we can simply just ask the user to input the name of the mob they want, and then we can grab a list of the attributes of the mob they want, so just the information on the mob. And then we can just print out this list. So you can see that when we enter creeper, we get a list of all the information we have on creepers. And if we run this again and type something like zombie, we get all the information we have on zombies. Okay, so now what if we want to allow the user to add their own mobs to our database? We only have creepers, zombies, and ghasts, which is not quite a large selection. So we should probably allow the user to add their own. Now, the only attributes we support are the mob's name, the color, and the sound they make. However, I highly encourage you to add your own attributes, right? So this function is actually pretty straightforward. What we do is just open the file, then we know each entry is just the name, color, and sound separated by a space, so we can write exactly that to the end of the file, and then just close the file. And now, once we're done, a new entry will be in our database, and then when we go to get this mob for the user and print it out, we can simply just call this getMob function again. So this is just a very bare bones project so far, but I encourage you to add more code onto it. So I want you to be able to at least allow the user to edit a mob given their name and color and sound. And I also want you to be able to clean up this main function a bit. So make it a little more user friendly. Right now it only asks them to input a mob's name, and it just prints out a list of attributes. So please do make it more pretty and allow the user to select whether they want to add a mob, edit a mob, or get a specific mob. That's all.